The movie is set in a dystopian version of Columbus, Ohio, in the year 2045. There are mobile homes stacked upon each other, making a towering structure. The boy, Wade Watts, who is the protagonist of the movie, comes out of his house and goes to an abandoned car, which he has made as his hideout. Wade narrates his story, saying that he was born in 2027, a time when people try to outlive problems, but his parents didn't survive those times, and so now he stays with his aunt, Alice. He then says that Columbus is the fastest growing city on Earth, and in these grim times, everyone is looking for an escape and into their dreams. And that is why James Halliday created Oasis. Wade puts on his virtual reality headset and enters the world of Oasis, a place where the limit is your imagination, where one can do whatever he desires. People go there because they can be whatever their heart desires. Animals, cartoons, or even a different sex. Wade's avatar, Parzival, appears in a hustling, bustling virtual city filled with other players. Wade says that since everyone is in Oasis, this is the place they make friends. He then tells us that each is his best friend here in the Oasis, even though they haven't met in real life. He contacts each and informs him about the next race, which will begin in 20 minutes. He then asks what he is up to, and it turns out that each is on an artifact hunt on the planet Doom, the most dangerous place there. Wade tells us that artifacts are keys. Halliday made sure that Oasis is littered with randomly powerful stuff that anyone could win with enough skills. If one loses their life, the avatar can be revived, but loses all his stuff, his money, clothes, and weapons. He then says that Oasis was the brainchild of Halliday. He, along with his partner Ogden Morrow, released Oasis in 2025. Morrow was out of the picture after a few years, but Halliday was loved by people. They worshipped him as much as his creations. But on January 7, 2040, he passed away. But what he left behind changed the world. After his passing, a video was released. In it, he said that he created an Easter egg, a hidden object, which provides immense power to whoever discovers it. The first person to find the egg will inherit his stock in Gregarious Games, worth $500 billion, and total control of Oasis. Halliday said that his avatar, Anorak, created 3 keys, 3 hidden challenges, revealing 3 keys to 3 magical gates, and those with worthy traits will reach the end, where the prize awaits. Wade tells us that in the last 5 years, no one has even gotten hold of a single key, and the big scoreboard is still empty. The challenge to find the first key is a race so hard that no one has ever finished it. He takes part in this race, competing against other players, all called the Egg Hunters, along with the Sixers. The Sixers work for the IOI Corporation, which is working to gain control of the Oasis. They follow the orders of the head of IOI, Nolan Sorrento, who dreams of making his company #1. Wade launches his car and gets in. The racetrack appears, and the race begins. Players destroy other cars to take the lead. The race is not without its obstacles, as players must navigate through a series of traps and hazards to reach the end. Wade takes the lead for a moment, but is soon overtaken by another player, Artemis, in a high-tech motorcycle. She is super in control of her vehicle, but Wade manages to catch up. They are all chased by King Kong, and it forces them to stop right before the finish line. Wade saves her from losing her life, but her bike is destroyed by Kong. Wade takes her to Ichi's workshop for her bike to get fixed. She hands Ichi her bike, and he leaves to fix it. She comments that Wade, known as Parzival in the Oasis, and Ichi are a clan, but he negates her theories by saying that he doesn't clan. She then asks him what he will do if he wins, and he replies that he won't be poor anymore. She comments that she knows why he stopped before the finish line, not because of Kong, but because he is scared to lose. She asks what would happen if IOI offered him unlimited coins in return for the keys, and that a real Gunter, Egg Hunter, would risk everything to save Oasis from IOI. Ichi fixes up her bike, and she leaves. The next scene is set in the real world. When Wade returns home, his uncle Rick slaps him and says that he lost everything because of Wade's gloves. All because Wade took his aunt's gloves, and Rick was left with his broken ones. Wade asks him to just respawn and level up, but it turns out he used all the house money to level up, and now he lost everything. Alice cries because of his stupidity. Wade advises her to call the police, but she responds that if she sees Wade near her stuff again, she'll kick him out. Later at night, he thinks about what Artemis said to him about Halliday, that he hated making rules. He goes back to the Oasis, to a place called Halliday Journals. He asks to see the Gregarious Games 2029 office party. The curator takes him to the entry, and he watches the conversation between Halliday and Morrow. But right when he is about to leave, Halliday's words make him stop in his tracks. Halliday says to go backward, as fast as you can, and something clicks inside Wade. At the race, Artemis comments that he figured something out, and asks him to tell her. But the horn blares and the race begins. This time, instead of going forward, he puts his car in reverse, and this takes him to another underground track. He drives on it seamlessly, and becomes the first to reach the finish line. There, Anorak presents him with the first key, along with the clue to the second challenge. The big scoreboard updates, with Parzival written on top. In the board meeting of IOI, people express their concern. Sorrento is unbothered, and starts presenting his idea of updates that will be made in Oasis. but a board member interjects and says that this all depends on winning. Later, Wade and each go and buy different upgrades after winning 100,000 coins in the race, and Wade obtains a haptic boot suit. Sorrento goes to Oasis and meets Iraq, who gives him the Orb of Asuvox. Sorrento asks him to keep it safe and gives him another job, to get Parzival off the scoreboard. Artemis is the next to win the race, followed by Each, Dato and Show. Wade goes to the Halliday journals to work on the next clue and is surrounded by other players. Artemis rescues him and changes his appearance. They both go to watch another entry of Halliday's, and it turns out Sorrento worked as an intern with Halliday and Morrow. He also shows her that, years before Morrow married his wife Kira, Halliday went on a date with her, but he had removed all the entries mentioning her. The curator bets that it could not be possible, but Wade wins the bet and gets a quarter from the curator. Later at night, Each complains about Parzival trusting Artemis with knowledge of Kira because she could be using him, but he ignores him. Each tells him to be careful about who they meet here, but he is adamant that she gets him, and there is a connection between them. He goes to the Distracted Globe, the first club Halliday created, to meet Artemis. Turns out this club was created right after Halliday met Kira, and this is the place their second clue was leading them to. Iraq is also there, listening to their conversations. They try different things, but not finding out what the actual challenge is. They dance together. He suggests meeting in the real world, but she refuses, replying that he will be disappointed. He asks her name, and when she doesn't reply, he gives her his real name as a sign of trust. Iraq, who is listening to their conversation, obtains this piece of information. She is shocked, and says that he can't tell anyone who he really is, but he replies that she is not just anyone, and he loves her. At this exact moment, they are attacked by IOI. Wade is hit several times, and right when his armor is about to give away, he launches a Zemeckis cube, turning everything 60 seconds back in time. Finding the opportunity, they run, and he compliments her. But she kicks him, and says that it is not just a game. She is doing it to stop IOI, because her father lost his life in their loyalty center. Later, Sorrento asks Iraq about how Parzival escaped them, and he replies that it is all because of the IOI men, who were not able to eradicate his avatar. He then tells Sorrento that he has found the real-world identity of Parzival. The only person to buy a haptic suit in the last few days is Wade Watts. In the real world, Wade is in hideout getting ready to enter the Oasis, when he gets a message about an offer from Sorrento. The message states that he will get whatever he wants, and to continue the chat, he must click the prism. He clicks the prism, and his avatar is transported to the IOI Plaza. Sorrento offers him a place in IOI, an upper-class apartment, and anything his heart desires, if he teams up with them to find the Easter egg. Wade replies that the offer is huge, but they don't have the same plans, and Halliday wouldn't want Sorrento to win. At his rejection, Sorrento brings out the bigger card, and tells him that he knows who he really is. He says that Wade was last seen entering his trailer 3 days ago, and that no one will care about a blast in the stacks. Wade panics and runs for his home. He tries calling Alice, but Rick picks up and tells him to never call again. He warns Rick, but before anything can happen, the place is blown into pieces by IOI. Hurt and disappointed in himself, he goes to his hideout and calls Each, Dato, Show and Artemis. He tries to leave them a message, but is abducted. Wade wakes up, tied to a chair. A girl sitting in front of him apologizes for the blindfold. Turns out she is Artemis, but her real name is Samantha. He tells her that he is not disappointed after meeting her, and leans in to kiss her, but she backs away because she's figured out the second clue. The clue wasn't taking them to the club, but to the movies, where Halliday had his date with Kira. In the Oasis, Wade goes along with his friends to the journals, and asks the curator to see all the movies from the week when Halliday went on a date. They select The Shining. Now inside the movie, they find out that they only have 5 minutes to find the key. Each sees a ball and follows it, and there, he finds 2 girls who ask him to come and play with them. He goes after the girls, but when he presses the button to call the elevator, the hallway fills with blood, drowning him. To save his life, he goes to room 237. There, he sees a beautiful lady, but she turns into a zombie and starts attacking him. He falls into the bathtub and finds himself in a maze, with the lady following him with an axe, but he is rescued by Wade at the last moment. Dato and Show join them, and inform them about finding the key to room 237. Each warns them about the crazy zombie lady, but Wade says that there was no zombie lady in the actual movie. They come to the conclusion that there is no key, but instead it's Kira. They go to the hallway with Kira's and Halliday's picture, and Artemis comments that Halliday's biggest fear wasn't this movie, but kissing a girl. Exactly at this moment, somewhere music starts playing. They follow the sound, and find themselves in a room full of dancing zombies. Among them, Artemis notices Kira. Dato informs her that only 1 minute is left, and when Artemis jumps to get Kira, the others are sucked out of the movie. Artemis reaches Kira and asks her for a dance. Kira disappears, and Anorak hands Artemis the key. She unlocks the gate and finds the next clue. Wade is the second one to get the key. Sorrento sees Parzival on the scoreboard, and finds out that he is still alive, and didn't lose his life in that blast. The IOI activates its drones to find the guy who kidnapped Wade from his hideout. Wade and Samantha are discussing the final clue when they are attacked by IOI. They both run, but Samantha sacrifices herself to protect Wade and is captured. Wade gets to an alley and finds each waiting for him. They both go to his van and also find Dato there. He tells Wade that Samantha left them a message and that the Sixers have found the third challenge. They get in the van and Sho is in there. It turns out he is actually an 11-year-old boy. Samantha is taken to the Loyalty Center, the place where her father was murdered, and is forced to work for IOI. Sorrento goes to the place of the third challenge, Castle Anorak, where the Sixers are trying to break through. He then goes to Iraq, who activates the Orb of Asuvox, creating an indestructible shield around itself. Sorrento removes his virtual headset and finds himself face to face with Wade and Dato, with guns in their hands. He is shocked and asks them how they got there. They threaten him and ask about Artemis and how to access her. Dato stays with Sorrento and Wade leaves. Turns out Sorrento is still in the Oasis, but he thinks he is in the real world, because his system was hacked right when he was logging out. Wade taps directly into Artemis's audio feed, and she tells him that the third challenge is on Planet Doom. He replies that right now, the only important thing is to get her out. After following some sets of instructions, they are able to free her. She tells him to go to Planet Doom and wait for her signal. Later, Sorrento figures out that everything around him is not real, and tries removing his headset. He succeeds and finds himself back in his office, in the real world. He leaves his office and informs others that his rig had been hacked. They go to where Artemis is supposed to be, and find the place empty. Whereas Artemis then enters Sorrento's office. She gets on his rig and reads the instructions to turn off the orb. It turns out a magical spell needs to be chanted 10 feet in front of the orb to turn it off. In all this chaos, Wade talks to the citizens of Oasis as Parzival. He gives them a soul-awakening speech that their future is in danger, they are being threatened. He tells them that they all have lost something, and now a force field has been built around the third challenge. He tells them that he came to Oasis to escape reality, but found a cause to stay. He found friends, he found love, and he can't let people like Null and Sorrento get hold of this place. He asks them to zero out for Oasis, begging them to risk it all to save the one thing they all love, to save Oasis. He asks them on behalf of his clan, the High Five, in the name of Halliday, to join them at Planet Doom and help save Oasis. He ends his speech and finds Sorrento looking at them from inside the shield. Suddenly they feel some rumbling. It intensifies. They turn around and see thousands of players coming to help them against IOI. Sorrento is shocked to see such a big turnout. At the IOI headquarters, Artemis enters Oasis as one of the Sixers. She goes near the orb and starts chanting the deactivation spell. The orb deactivates, breaking the shield, giving free access to all those outside. All the players charge towards the castle of Anorak, and IOI orders its Sixers to fight back. Artemis finds Wade and tells him about the final challenge, a game called Adventure. Amidst the war going on, IOI is also looking for Wade in the real world, to take him down. They see streets filled with people, with their headsets on, fighting. The war accelerates, with Null and Sorrento entering the battlefield. He enters and starts wreaking havoc. He attacks each, setting his avatar on fire. He then moves on to slay Parzival, and right when he is about to step on him, Dato intervenes and saves him, but is taken out while fighting. Wade runs towards the castle to win the third and final key of the game before the IOI does. Artemis, with the help of each, finally puts down Sorrento. In the real world, Sorrento gets out of his office and starts looking for Samantha in the IOI war room. Wade tries to get on the bridge to the castle, but before it can happen, several bombs detonate at once, destroying the bridge. Each acts as a bridge and helps Wade cross to the other side. Iraq tries to attack them, but his arm is cut off by Sho. Artemis, Wade and Sho get to the other side, but each doesn't make it. Wade figures out that Artemis is in danger and asks her to get out of IOI and meet them at River South. He shoots her, destroying her avatar. Wade takes out a hand grenade, destroying the Sixers. He and Sho approach the Sixer doing the challenge, and Sho tries to take him out, but Wade intervenes. Right when the Sixer wins the game, he loses the challenge, and disappointment runs through IOI. Wade concludes that the challenge is not about winning, but about playing. The key is in a dark room in the game, and one finds it by wandering around. Right when he starts the game, Sorrento arrives, along with Iraq. He offers Wade $50 million in exchange for the key, but he declines and says with determination that he would never let Oasis fall into the wrong hands. In a fit of fury, Sorrento takes out a catalyst, a bomb that will destroy each and every one of the players in Oasis, along with the one who initiated it. Iraq doesn't like this idea and tells him not to do this. While Sorrento is distracted, Wade kicks the catalyst out of his hands, and they begin fighting. The fight results in Sorrento getting beaten up, but unfortunately, he falls right beside the catalyst. He picks it up and activates it, destroying everyone, and the big scoreboard resets itself to 0. After this destruction, Wade wakes up in Oasis. Shocked that he is still alive, he puts his hand in his pocket and finds the quarter which the curator gave him, seeing the words, "Extra Life" written on it. Suddenly the scoreboard updates itself, with Parzival still in first position. Sorrento is shocked at this sight. Wade starts the game, and a live feed starts broadcasting on all Oasis channels. Everyone in the IOI gathers around the big screen to watch Wade play. Artemis is running for her life when she is found by her friends. She gets in the van and is stunned to see Wade still playing, even after the catalyst went off. They are on the move, so the van gets located by the IOI drones, putting them in grave danger. Wade keeps playing the game and finds the hidden key. Right when the game ends, Anorak appears and hands Wade the final key. When he is about to take the key, their van in the real world is attacked, shaking up his avatar. But he finally manages to get the key, and the last magical gate appears. He inserts 2 of his keys into the gate, but IOI makes it difficult for him to insert the last one. He focuses and eventually succeeds, and excitement buzzes through everyone who is watching. The magical gate breaks down and leads Wade to the Easter egg. There, Anorak is waiting for him. He tells him that now he just needs to sign some papers, and the Oasis will be his. He goes to grab the pen Anorak is offering, but their van is attacked by an IOI member. They all fight her and throw her out of the van. In the Oasis, Wade is about to sign the papers when he stops. He says that this is wrong. This is a replica of the moment when Halliday made Morrow sign over his shares, which was the biggest mistake of his life. He tells Anorak that he won't make the same mistake Halliday made, and this brings a smile to Anorak's face. He replies that he just wanted to be sure. Anorak disappears and the scene changes, with Wade beside Halliday in his childhood room. Halliday shows him the button which will erase the Oasis forever. He then explains that Wade deserves this Easter egg because he won all 3 keys. In the real world, the van reaches the stacks, with Sorrento on their tail. Sorrento gets out of his car, but is stopped midway by a furious old lady. She tells him that they know what he did, and it will be better for him if he walks away. He ignores the lady, but is surrounded by so many other people. They move towards him, but he takes out his gun, scaring them, and starts moving towards the van. In the Oasis, Halliday tells Wade that no matter what, reality is real, and hands him the Easter egg. Sorrento enters the van, but when he sees Wade with the egg, he lowers his gun. At that very moment, the police arrive and arrest Sorrento. Back in the game, Halliday thanks Wade for playing his game, says goodbye, and leaves. Wade removes his headset, and his face is wet with tears. His emotions are overflowing when Ogden Morrow opens the door to the van. They all are awestruck to see him. He tells them that some people would very much like to meet Wade. Wade replies that there is something he needs to do first. He shuts the door, turns around, and kisses Samantha with all his heart. Later, the lawyers from Gregarious Games arrive along with Morrow and ask for his signature. He replies that he'll be splitting everything with his clan, and they will run the Oasis together. They get out of the van, and see hundreds of people rooting for them. The excitement and the happiness is evident on each and every face. Wade asks Morrow how he came to them so fast. He replies that he was watching them closely, and hands him a quarter. Turns out he is the curator who gave him an extra life. Morrow tells him that Wade never needed his help. He figured out that Kira was the key all by himself. But Wade replies that the key wasn't Kira, but Morrow. Halliday's biggest regret was losing his only friend. The movie ends with Wade saying that after taking control of the Oasis, the first thing they did was to hire Morrow for consultancy, and then they banned loyalty centers. And the third thing they did was to shut down Oasis on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because reality is the only thing which is real.